The Death Star trench run with Luke Skywalker from A New Hope is iconic, legendary, unforgettable. The same can't be said for the trench run on Starkiller Base with Poe Dameron. In fact, you probably forgot about it until I mentioned it just now. Unless you're of course this guy who doesn't remember anything.
But if you can't look and see the Anakin blowing up the Death Star...
What an idiot!
The Force Awakens is often described as a rehash of A New Hope because the films share obvious similarities, whether it be the protagonists in both films starting their journeys on a desert planet, or important information being stashed in a droid, or mentors being killed. You get the idea, and I'm sure you're aware of the similarities between both of the films by now. And like most remakes, they're often not as good as the original. In this video, we'll be analysing both of these scenes and why one stands the test of time and the other is forgotten immediately. We've spent the entire movie building up to this moment. The rebels have a tiny sliver of a chance to take down the Death Star, this space station that's been plaguing the entire galaxy. And it all comes down to Luke Skywalker, a farm kid who up until about 2 days ago knew just as much about the Force as Leslie Headland. Nothing. Straight away with this scene, the stakes are crystal clear. If Luke fails, the Death Star wipes out the rebel base and the galaxy is screwed. But it's not just about the galaxy, it's about Luke's personal journey. Obi-Wan just died and Luke's feeling the weight of that. This isn't just a battle, it's Luke's first real test as a Jedi. The pacing here in this part of the movie is nothing short of perfect. The whole scene is like a pressure cooker. We see the rebels getting picked off one by one, and the clock's ticking down as the Death Star gets ready to fire. The way the editing cuts between the action in the trench, the tension in the rebel base, and the countdown from the Death Star builds this incredible sense of urgency. Then the big moment happens. Luke turns off his targeting system.
It's a bold strategy, Cotton. Let's see if it pays off for him.
Luke is taking a huge gamble here because if he misses, it's game over. The tension couldn't get any higher. It's not just about skill now, it's about faith. Luke has to trust the Force, something he's only just started to believe in. This scene is all about Luke fulfilling his destiny. He's been learning about the Force, sure, but this is really where he puts it to the test. Turning off the targeting computer isn't just a cool moment, it's a massive leap of faith. It shows just how far Luke has come from the kid who was whining about power converters at the start of the movie. He's grown into someone who trusts his instincts and the Force, just like Obi-Wan taught him to do. Let's talk about how this scene was put together before moving on to The Force Awakens. The effects were groundbreaking for their time, and the model work, the way the trench run is shot, it all feels real and gritty. The sound design is awesome. You can hear the whine of the engines, the beeping of R2-D2, the roar of the TIE fighters. You can feel the speed, the danger.
The cranberries?
What?
Yeah, sure, even the cranberries. You know what, I'd much rather talk about cranberries than talk about The Force Awakens, but unfortunately, I think that time has come.
No, God! No, God, please, no! 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 No!
So here we are again a couple of decades later with another Death Star, only this time it's bigger. It's like it was designed by Justin Hammer.
Size does matter. Don't let anyone tell you different.
Instead of feeling like a climactic showdown, the whole attack on Starkiller Base just comes across as a cheap rehash. It's like someone said, hey, remember that cool trench run scene in A New Hope? Well, let's do that again, let's do that. Only this time, let's just make it bigger. In fact, that was probably their approach for the whole movie.
That was the plan.
Not a great plan.
Believe it or not, the stakes are actually high, or at least they are on paper. Starkiller Base can blow up multiple planets at once, and it's about to take out the Resistance. The problem is, these stakes feel manufactured rather than earned. In A New Hope, the Death Star represented the full power of the Empire, and its destruction was a massive blow to it. On the other hand, Starkiller Base feels more like a plot device rather than a genuine threat. The emotional connection just isn't there because the story hasn't done the work to make us fear Starkiller Base the way we did with the Death Star. Remember when I said the pacing for the trench run scene in A New Hope was perfect? Well, it's not here.
You don't say!
The movie keeps cutting between Poe's attack and the ground mission with Rey, Finn and Kylo Ren. Instead of building suspense, this fragmented approach just ends up diluting the tension. In A New Hope, the trench run scene dialed in on Luke's journey, making every moment count. In The Force Awakens, the trench run is just one more chaotic element in a crowded mess, and it lacks the focus that made the original so compelling. The Starkiller Base Attack does nothing for Poe's character. He's just doing his job, flying around and blowing stuff up. There's no growth, no risk, no personal journey. Compare that to Luke in A New Hope. His trench run is a rite of passage, a moment where he proves to himself and the audience that he's more than just a pilot. Poe is just going through the motions. The movie already establishes that Poe is the greatest pilot in the Resistance, so seeing him do this stuff isn't surprising. And the real emotional beats, like Han Solo confronting his son, Kylo Ren, are happening elsewhere, making the actual attack on Starkiller Base feel disconnected and insignificant. Visually, the Starkiller Base scene is technically impressive, but it's all surface and no substance. It's all mouth mouth and no trousers.
What?
Yeah, the CGI looks good in The Force Awakens, but it should look good because it's the most expensive movie ever made. Anyway, J.J. Abrams just does his best to embrace his inner Michael Bay. The scene tries everything to wow you with scale, bigger explosions, bigger lasers, but it just doesn't have the same emotional chords that A New Hope does. The music as well is more generic. There's no iconic moment like the Force swelling as Luke makes his shot. Instead, the score just underscores the action without adding anything to it. It's all noise and spectacle without the soul that made the original trench run iconic and unforgettable. The Death Star trench run in A New Hope is a masterclass in filmmaking. High stakes, intense tension, and Luke's personal journey, all perfectly executed. It's the moment where everything comes together. Luke trusts the Force, the edge of your seat pacing, and the score just gives you chills. It's legendary for a reason. And then we have The Force Awakens with its attack on Starkiller Base. Take the Death Star, make it bigger, slap some CGI on it, and hope we don't notice the difference.
Thought we wouldn't notice, but we did.
The whole scene is a lazy attempt to replicate the original's magic. It focuses on the size and spectacle but completely misses the heart. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. If you're new around here, please consider subscribing, and I'll catch you again next time.